Most people hear the word Gnostic and think of something strange and distant. Secret cults, forbidden gospels, maybe even a dark conspiracy behind early Christianity. But what does it actually mean to be Gnostic? Is it a religion, a philosophy, a rebellion against God? Or is it something much more intimate than any label can capture? In this video, we're going to explore what it really means to be Gnostic, not just in the ancient world, but right now in your own life. We'll look at where Gnosticism came from, what the Gnostics believed, and how that way of seeing reality can still transform the way you move through this world today. Let's begin with something simple. Being Gnostic is not about belonging to a club. It's not about wearing a symbol, memorizing dogmas, or joining a secret order. At its core, to be Gnostic is to seek one thing above all: Gnosis. Gnosis is a Greek word that means knowledge, but not just any knowledge. It doesn't mean collecting facts or mastering theology. It means direct inner knowing, experiential truth, a kind of recognition that happens inside the soul. You can read about fire in a book. You can memorize every chemistry formula about flame. But until you feel heat on your skin, your knowing is incomplete. Gnosis is like feeling the fire. For the ancient Gnostics, the problem with most religion was not that it spoke about God, but that it stopped at belief. Believe this. Obey that. Accept this story. Wait for salvation later. The Gnostic impulse says, belief is not enough. I have to know. I need to taste the truth directly. So being Gnostic starts with a restless question inside you. Is this really all there is? Is the world I see the real thing? Or is there something deeper behind it? To answer that, the ancient Gnostics told a story, not to control people, but to wake them up. They said that beyond this universe, beyond time and space, there is a fullness of pure living light, the Pleroma. From that fullness comes the true source, the infinite, unnameable reality we would call God. From this source flow expressions of light and intelligence called Aeons. Among them is Sophia, divine wisdom. In one of the Gnostic myths, Sophia moves with a longing that goes beyond harmony. From this imbalance, a distorted being is born, blind to the higher realms yet full of borrowed power. This being becomes the Demiurge, the false creator. Ignorant of the light above him, the Demiurge fashions a universe of matter and declares, I am the only God. There is none beside me. He creates structures, laws, systems. He builds bodies. He surrounds himself with Archons, rulers that help manage this world. From the outside, it looks like a solid, authoritative reality. But from the Gnostic point of view, it's a copy, not the original. A limited, distorted reflection of the true spiritual universe. Here is where being Gnostic takes on its sharp edge. Most people are taught that this world is exactly as it should be, designed perfectly by an all-knowing, all-loving God, and that our role is simply to submit, obey, and hope for the best. The Gnostic looks around at the cruelty, the lies, the suffering, the emptiness, and something in them whispers, no, this cannot be the full truth. The Gnostic senses that this reality is off, that it doesn't fit the nature of a truly good and infinite source. So they entertain a radical possibility. Maybe this world is not the final masterpiece of God. Maybe it is a mixture of light and distortion. Maybe we are living inside a kind of spiritual simulation, crafted by a lesser power who doesn't understand the fullness of what we really are. But here is the crucial point. Being Gnostic is not about hating the world, or worshiping some distant heaven and ignoring life. It's about recognizing that within this world of limitation, there is something hidden, a spark of the true light. In the secret book of John and other Gnostic texts, this spark is described as the divine seed inside the human being. It doesn't belong to the Demiurge. It doesn't belong to the Archons. It comes from Sophia, from the Pleroma, from the true source. That spark is your deepest self, not your personality, not your trauma, not your ego story. To be Gnostic is to live from the awareness that you are not just a body in a broken world, but a fragment of the infinite moving through a temporary dream. The Archons in this vision are not only cosmic rulers, they also show up as the structures that keep you asleep. voices of fear and shame, systems that demand blind obedience, beliefs that tell you you're small, guilty, and helpless, distractions that drown out the quiet voice inside you. When you swallow those voices without question, you live as if you are just a victim of fate, a puppet in someone else's story. Gnosis begins when you stop and say, "Wait, who told me who I am? Who benefits from me believing I'm powerless? What if my true origin is beyond all of this?" Being Gnostic does not mean you automatically have all the answers. It means you refuse to settle for the answers that keep you asleep. So what does being Gnostic look like in practice today? First, it means valuing inner experience over borrowed belief. You can respect scriptures, teachers, and traditions. You can learn from them, but you don't hand over your soul to them. You use them as mirrors to awaken your own direct connection with the source. Second, it means cultivating awareness. Gnostic practice is less about rigid rituals and more about how you pay attention. When you wake up, you notice the quiet space before thoughts. During the day, you observe the patterns that hook you: fear, anger, craving, numbness, and instead of letting them drag you, you look through them. You begin to see how the Archons operate in your own mind. Third, being Gnostic means recognizing the divine spark in others. You don't just see bodies, labels, and roles. You feel for the consciousness looking through their eyes. Even when they're lost in illusion, you know that somewhere under the surface, the same light that moves through you is moving through them. That doesn't mean you accept abuse or ignore evil. It means you understand that even the darkest actions come from deep forgetting, from a soul trapped in its own lie. Fourth, it means understanding salvation in a new way. For most systems, salvation means being rescued from outside, a savior, an institution, a ritual that saves you if you obey. For the Gnostic, salvation is remembrance. It's the moment you realize, I was never truly separated from the source. I was never only this limited identity. I have always been part of the light, even while walking through the shadow. That recognition doesn't necessarily remove all pain or challenge from your life, but it changes the meaning of everything. You stop seeing yourself as a condemned sinner trapped in a hostile universe and start seeing yourself as a soul on assignment, a carrier of light inside a dream that forgot itself. Finally, to be Gnostic is to live with a different loyalty. Your first loyalty is not to any empire, institution, or ideology. It's to the truth that resonates in the deepest part of you. If a belief, a leader, or a system demands that you shut down that inner knowing, the Gnostic steps back. Because they have learned that any power which fears your awareness is not a power you can trust. Being Gnostic doesn't make you better than anyone else. It doesn't mean you're above religion or beyond learning. It simply means that somewhere along the way, you decided you would rather live in a difficult truth than in a comfortable illusion. You chose to keep asking, to keep sensing, to keep listening for the quiet echo of the Pleroma inside your own heart. So if you've ever felt like this world is a dream that doesn't quite add up, if you've ever felt a strange nostalgia for a home you can't remember, if you've ever had moments of piercing clarity where, for just a second, everything feels connected and alive, maybe that's not just imagination. Maybe that is the Gnostic spark in you waking up. Being Gnostic is not about calling yourself a Gnostic. It's about answering that spark. By paying attention, by questioning what keeps you small, by remembering again and again that you are more than the story you were handed. If this way of seeing reality resonates with you, you're not alone. Across history, from the ancient seekers of Nag Hammadi to people quietly awakening today, the same impulse has been moving through human hearts: to expose the false light, and to remember who we truly are.